Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt man! All right! Episode 116 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Rodney from DLH Screen Print in Oregon. Let's go!
Yeah, so there's no power or internet at the shop, so I had to set up at home.
Why that happened again? There's a storm or something?
Yeah.
Right now? It's a storm?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sort of over the excuses, so anyway, cheers. Hello. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. All right. You know, I don't want to hear excuses. I just want to hear apologies.
Okay, I'm sorry you're such a dickhead.
But hey, you look good, and we're here.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, I like your
check,
shirt.
check. Are we recording?
Hey, can you hear me, bud? Hey, you look really sexy in that shirt. That New York Tea Club shirt.
Look at that thing.
It's nice and soft. Yeah, check it.
Super soft, and it's straight.
See
like
nipples.
when I took it out of the bag. Which, by the way, this bag is a beauty. It is compostable. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's good for the environment, and the shirt is comfy. And oh yeah, I was saying I took it out of the bag, and the first thing I do is I'm curious: is it straight or is it crooked? What do they do up there at Upstate? And it's fucking straight. It's like straight as an arrow.
You never know.
It's whoever printed it did a fantastic job. A couple other stickers, all kinds of goodies. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Before we get started, I thought it would be cool. We do this every once in a while, but could everyone show a little bit of love? Whether it's on YouTube. Look, we have like 500-600 views every week.
Billion views.
Yeah, and there's generally like one like or two or maybe 10. It'd be cool if you just
30.
smash, is that what they say? Go over there and make love to that
Yes,
like button.
If you could make sweet, sweet love.
And also, I just checked, and we have on Apple Podcasts 68 reviews. Sorry, 68. What's it called? 68 reviews. Yeah, where they give you a star rating or something. And on Spotify, there's like 60 some too. If you could just, like, if you're shy and you don't want to comment, you could just give us a rating. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yep.
There's way more listeners than there are.
Share us on your stories on Instagram.
Yeah, do that kind of stuff. You know what I am
It's free.
loving, though?
It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, just, 2 seconds of your life. That's all.
Right.
And what was I going to say? Oh, there's a lot of comments on our, you know how you've been posting a few days ago, like, hey, here's our next guest, and you have any questions for them? That's really good. Like, there's a ton of people asking questions, so that's exciting. So that's all. Just a quickie about love.
You look like rejuvenated and healthy and like beautiful today.
Oh, thank you. Well,
You got that little bit of hair swoosh in your hat.
well, it's I'll tell you, I got very, very little sleep. Probably maybe 5
That's what
hours.
it is. That's it.
I had
Yep.
to. Yeah, that's the ticket because what did I do? Oh, I had to wake up and take my mom to the airport because she's going to New York.
Yeah, that's right. I
Here
paid
we
for
don't.
her
You shut
services.
the fuck up right now. You don't say anything.
She's expensive.
Well, I guess that's nice. That's a compliment. Yeah, so I had to take her to the airport, and that means I had to get up early and all that stuff. So I didn't get much sleep. So I stopped by the old Starbucks on the way here.
Oh, nice.
And it's delicious, and so maybe that's it. I have some energy. And maybe, you know what it is? I figured it out. It's the shirt. Look at that thing.
It fits so good.
I worked out today. Maybe that's
I have
too?
not risen and grinded today. Yeah,
I'm not on
gonna
the
go for
rise
a
and
walk.
grind.
I'm gonna go for a walk after this podcast if it's not stormy. If it is, maybe
Yeah.
I'll roll a little bit.
Did you say row?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, you have a little rower, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's hard.
Mm.
I think that's incredibly hard.
I know I'm late, but give me a quickie. How was your week?
Oh, week was good. I told this to you, I think, that, you know how on our, I think it was the last episode or maybe the episode
About your new
before?
hire.
Yes, and we took a vote, like Survivor, and it was unanimous, and that person stayed. Well, on, I don't know what it was. I think it was Tuesday. All of a sudden, one of the press operators came up and said, "Hey, my dryer catcher's driving away."
Can you please tell the whole story?
No, I can't. I don't think I should.
The whole
It's just-
story is so good.
Well, anyway, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's a thing. Yeah. So, but we've got a new person starting
That's
just in
fast.
time Monday. Got their onboarding stuff all printed out. Like I'm prepared, you know, like I did
Oh,
my
yeah.
homework and stuff like that, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
a pro.
Mhm.
Yesterday, my the alarm kept going off here. Like it was a front motion, and if anything happens, call the authorities, would you? Send them help save me.
I'll let your mom know.
You motherfucker. Oh, that's terrible. Oh my God. I can't
I'm
believe
about to
I
be.
just said that. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Mom. She's like such a sweet lady.
Yeah, it just
all right.
tastes like candy.
Okay, that's enough. You good? We're good?
You keep
We're good?
fucking teeing them up for me.
How was your week?
Honestly, I don't remember it.
That means it was good.
It was great. Yeah, it really was good.
Okay.
Just a normal week. I feel like I was at my desk a lot. We got a lot of cool jobs printed, and I think I just got a lot of shit organized and ready to go. I feel like I just did a lot of managerial shit this week.
Like a boss.
Real riveting. Yeah.
Okay, just give me one thing that happened. One, like, did you have did you barbecue Wednesday barbecue?
Did on Friday.
Okay. Why Friday? What happened? Why not Wednesday?
We had a couple staff out this week, and I wanted to make sure everyone was going to be there, and everyone was there on Friday, so we did it on Friday.
Okay.
Um,
What was on the menu? Same?
what did we make? We made hot dogs and hamburgers. Nothing crazy.
I just bought some hot dogs today. No, yesterday at Trader
Well,
Joe's.
that's a given. That's normal.
And do you know on the back, you know what it said? It had boiling instructions.
Fuck yeah, it would. It's the best way, obviously.
Oh shit, he's here, and we've got
And we have
1
to do
minute.
sponsors.
We got to get going on this. So let's do that.
Frank.
It all starts with the screen, and whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFFF,
Rank.com.
or
GreatFuckingScreens.com. It's fucking pouring outside.
I thought I heard something. I just thought it was like air, like what's
Windy?
it called? Like feedback or something.
No. I can close the windows if it's loud.
Nah, it's good. I think it's okay.
All right.
Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will help you and your team keep your shop clean. Check them out at easyway.com. EasyWay.
It's the easiest way.
Action Engineering. I sounded like I was from New York, kind of.
Yeah.
So they make all kinds of accessories printers need. They have got pallet rubber, squeegee rubber, right here. I just ordered a 10-pack, and I wanted to
What
show
is
you.
that? What Duro you got there?
Right there, triple. And it's
Yeah,
the
but what
old-
is it?
Can you read it?
No?
Why not?
6290 62s?
Yes. Look, they have all sorts of things besides that. you can go to actionengineering.com to have a look. And I don't know, say hi.
Go buy some shit from there.
Exactly.
It's all really good stuff.
Monarch Color makes ink that does what it's supposed to do. Learn more at monarchcolor.com. Ink better, print better, be better.
Live Moss.
Monarch. So, graphic source. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Look, could your shop use a little or a lot of help in the art department? Either way, go to... I'm sorry?
Everyone's shop needs a little help in the art department here and there.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Like, somebody comes along with a shirt, or I'm sorry, some art, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to do it. Maybe you can do it, but you don't want to.
That's what we've done. We've been too bogged down with a lot of sim process stuff. We'll send some of it out to Graphic Source. Just a little help, you know?
So either way, I don't know if I said this or not. Either way, go to 1-900. Did that sound right? I think I said that wrong.
No, you're doing good. 1-900
hotstuff.com. Get in touch with Nick or Lucas and get that art flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have Chromaline, and you have that tip on your phone. But before you read it, and while you're getting it queued up, I got something in the mail.
Me too.
I don't think they gave you anything. Did you get some swag?
Yes, I did.
Well, they told me it was just for me.
Well, they lied right to your face.
Look what it is.
It's a beautiful beer glass.
And guess what? Nobody claimed it. And all you had to do was go to their website and, I can't remember, like, say something.
Say I was beautiful.
And then you get one of these. Nobody did. Mm-hmm. So I have them now. And apparently you do too. If somebody wants one of these, comment on YouTube.
Best comment on YouTube gets a glass.
Hell yeah. That sounds fair, right? Also, there's something else in here that we can send. I'll even send... Oh, yeah. Look, I'll even send a couple of these guys.
And paddling sticks for your dirty room.
I got 3 paddling sticks for the dirty room. And then I've got a lupe. I don't know. No, what is this? Yeah. Got a little...
Yeah.
Okay.
A little loop.
So comment, and guess what? Let's make friends down there. You know why? Because I comment down there when I see somebody comment. I'll say something.
Yeah. Let's start a conversation.
And yeah, let's talk. Let's chat. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's... Oh, wait. So, all right, you've got your tip, right?
Yeah. Here, let me read it.
Okay.
Chromaline tippy tip. Screens cannot be too clean. The last step of reclaim should always be degreasing your screens. This removes any of the oil-based chemicals off and prepares the mesh so the emulsion adheres the best. In addition, it's best to use a garden hose when rinsing the degreaser off instead of a pressure washer. With a garden hose, the water will cascade down the mesh and thoroughly rinse the degreaser off with ease.
Yeah, so the key word there, cascade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want it to just cascade. Like,
it's the best way to just to say the definition of cascade is to cascade. Who's our guest today, bud?
Today we are talking with Rodney Cuda from Don't Lose Hope Screen Print in Salem, Oregon. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I'm getting this photo ready so when Rodney comes on, I can impress him.
Look at that fucking thing.
Hello?
It's like a caterpillar.
Sorry we're late.
Oh, it's all good.
It's one of our faults. Who do you think? Who would it be?
Well, I don't know. Dylan doesn't look like he's in a shop, so maybe had to change recording locations.
Yeah, I had to run home. It's storming and there's no power at the shop. And we might lose power here, so
Cool.
we'll see how it goes.
All right.
Yeah.
Neat.
I was getting ready to tell a story about my internet because we've had some internet issues. And I don't know, maybe 8 years ago was probably the last time I have this original modem that Spectrum provides, and it's been 8 years. So they haven't installed that modem. The guy, when he was here, told me that they haven't even given anybody that modem for 8 years. And so
Is
here
it
I
like
have
cream colored?
no, it's
It's like
black.
that old cream plastic that like all PCs were made out of.
The old computer
Yeah,
speakers.
you would think, but it is like it anyway. It was, I think there's like a limit on how fast it can go, and I paid Spectrum to upgrade my server. So like, oh yeah, you're good. We got 200 meg going to your shop now, and I'm like, well, that's gonna work. That's gonna be fantastic. Well,
your modem probably can't process
it wasn't.
that. Huh?
It can't, and also it's old, and also they lied to me for lots of years.
For the 5?
Well, timeout. And so I've noticed that when we've been recording, ever since we've been with Riverside, it's been like hard. It's been a hassle, and and I can hardly see anybody, and like it cuts out, and it tells me I have internet problems and all that kind of stuff. So called them, they came out, upgraded, have this new badass modem, and when he was here, this is why I'm mentioning this whole story, is that we upgraded service to 600, and by the way, I've got 672.91. Can you see that?
Wow.
All right, there you go.
No, I don't know. So that's fast.
Flexing.
And then the part of the problem, and you may want to check this, is that they had the cable that was coming in, the coax that was coming into the building, was feeding through a filter that they used to have to filter out channels. Like if let's say
Like
you had
porno?
cable, yeah, like so that you can only get so many channels or whatever. There was a filter on there, and he's like, that filter's so old that it's probably contributing to your.
So you weren't getting the good stuff.
No, but now I do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he just took
Awesome.
the filter out through it.
I can tell by your mood. I'm surprised that filter didn't filter out Rodney's mustache.
Just like filters.
Dude,
my
first
face.
of all, your fucking name is Rodney Cuda, and you have that mustache and that shirt on. How are you not like Magnum PI?
I get that a
fucking
lot.
save some pussy for the rest of us.
I walked into a thrift shop, like I don't know, last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and this dude, an average thrift shop employee, just from across the store was like, "Oh my god, it's Tom Selleck, everybody!" Like, and just like went off, and I was like, "Thanks, man. I'm just trying to look at some old furniture, but cool."
Yeah. Well, I get it. I mean, it's like a thick, good mustache. You know what I mean? Like I have a mustache, but it's not like yours looks like an old school black comb on your upper lip. That's what it looks like.
the broom handle or push broom style.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm going for. But like down here
it.
is the Joe Dirt style facial hair, and none of this grows
okay.
in. So I don't know. I'd probably
Just
be more
keeping
like
it up
you,
here.
but like, yeah, none of this grows in at all.
Okay, so like Andy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like me.
So what's
Cool.
going on, man? How's your Sunday?
Sunday's good. Just went and did like my old man stuff. Like went for a walk and just hung out with my lady, and went to our downtown and got like a breakfast sandwich, and then came here to the shop and just did some tidying. We're pretty busy this week, so just did some shop stuff.
Yeah. What's new with you for you guys? Was it you're getting a new shop, or you're moving, or what are you doing?
We have moved. So we moved around. Well, we took possession of the space in January this year, but we didn't start working out of it until about March, and so we've been here since. But it was a lot of things all at once. So we not only had to go to a new shop, but we had the auto show up. So it was just a lot all at one time that we weren't quite planning for, but things are running a little bit better now. So that's good.
You were in a space before this, and you had just manuals?
Yeah. So my last shop was, it's just a warehouse shop, kind of hidden back, off the beaten path. Had 2 manuals, 8-foot dryer, and then we were planning on staying there for a while and ended up like actually ordering the auto kind of suited for that space, but then got noticed that the building was going to be like sold or something along those lines, to where we kind of had to get out of our lease, which was cool. Like, they let us out of the lease, but we had to end up finding a new location. So yeah.
How fast was that notice?
So the notice was plenty of time. So that was right around the holidays last year, and they gave us notice that we would have until about this time this year. So we could have up until August of this year. But with our auto slated at that time to show up in like February or March, that made it kind of hard to...
Right, you had to hurry up.
Yeah, so it was either find something immediately or have the auto delivered, installed in our current location, and then have to move it within a few months, which...
That would suck. Yeah, that would be horrible.
I didn't want to do that, so...
So how did you come about the new space then?
New space, we like really lucked out. So it's about 2,500 square feet with like a showroom, and it's on like a main road. And then we have like a 300 square foot office upstairs, and there's some other offices upstairs, and just had some friends move in, have a tattoo studio, which is cool. But we just kept looking around on Craigslist and things like that, and ultimately came across this space. And the building owner was really cool. He gave it to us for a really good price for how much traffic it gets. It just needed a lot of work, so that was the downfall.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys do a lot of that work already, or is it something you're going to gradually work on?
So we've been working on it, but like, for example, the main production shop was all carpet, and so we ended up having to like rip up the carpet. We had to grind down all the glue. I probably took some years off my life doing that.
Did you do it, or you hired someone else?
No, I've done almost everything. So I did that, and then
that's awesome.
Yeah, so then we couldn't figure out like what flooring to do, so we ended up like staining the concrete because we couldn't get all the glue up, so it wasn't like perfect for like painting or doing like LVT or something like that. So we ended up just staining the concrete and putting down like a clear coat. So it's actually a really nice floor now. But so things like that.
For
and
those for those who are looking for a shop or getting ready to get into a lease, how did you work that? So how did you structure that lease? Were you going to, like, when you signed that lease, was it your responsibility to do that build out, like pull the carpet and sand the floors and paint it? Or did he discount that rent at all because you were going to do that? Or did he pay for any of it? Or he or she, the landlord?
Yeah, so him and I negotiated for a little while. The one thing that was kind of helpful is I had been looking, and this place had been listed for a while, and it was an old like appliance store that closed down during the pandemic. So it just hadn't found a new tenant yet. And so in talking with them, I was able to kind of negotiate a lot of work that they would cover with rent credits. So
because it had been empty or he was in need.
Yeah, I don't know that he was in need, to be honest. Like he rents it for a pretty fair price, in my opinion, and he just, I think, wanted somebody to get in to the building and just kind of start getting some cash flow from that. But like I said, the building needed a lot of work, so I was able to get him to cover basically like materials. So like for the floor, we painted a bunch of the inside. We painted the exterior like 2 weekends ago. So he paid for all of that stuff. And then a few other things, like we had to redo all the electrical. So the building is really cool because it has 400 amps, 3-phase, but that was all like up in this front utility closet. And the actual shop area just had like a couple 110 outlets. So what we ended up doing was splitting the panel up front in half, putting a 200 amp panel up front for all of the accessory stuff, and then moving a new line back to the back for 200 amps to power all the equipment. So I was able to get him to, cover a lot of that, like about half of that, and then also some other things like windows and doors that we put in. So yeah, trying to negotiate
Pretty awesome
that
for a
the best
landlord
he
to have
can.
somebody like that come in.
Yeah, I know.
And-
And so you said rent credit. So you mean like he gave you free rent for a few months or just discounted your rent for a while? How did that work?
Yeah, so we had like a certain amount like per thing. So how much you would pay for paint, how much you would pay for electrical service, how much you would pay for putting in, like, we had to put in a door to get our auto in. So all of those he kind of just saw as like improving the building for, potential future tenants or anything like that. We signed a 5-year lease, but he knew that we were going to make the building a much better place overall. So basically I had a set number of things that we agreed upon up front, and once we completed each task, then the rent credit was applied.
Nice. So are you noticing a big difference in how you guys are operating between the last shop and this shop? I mean, other than having the auto, or is it
Yeah,
like
it's been a
back to
lot.
business as usual?
No, it's not business as usual. I've been like a 1.5 man show for so long, and now I have 5 people that have basically started since, about 6 or 7 months ago. So we've grown pretty substantially in that amount of time, and just having
That's
to
a lot of
figure
people
out,
all at once.
yeah, it's scary and stressful all the time. But
Where do they go?
but, like,
So they were production people and also office people. What kind of roles do they have?
yeah, so prior to here, it was myself, and then one of my best friends was like my printer. Like after his day job, he'd come in after work, and I'd like set things up for him throughout the day, and then he would just print them. But now he's kind of graduated into my, like, what I'm calling like production coordinator or production manager role. And then, so he's here full time now. So he quit his day job. He's here full time. And then I have a couple production people. So I hired a full-time press op, a full-time production like assistant who helps out with on press, and then also does a lot of like our relabeling. So we do a lot of relabeling and things like that. So he helps out with those things. And then the other one is my girlfriend. Actually, she has been helping out a lot, and so she almost full-time is doing a lot of our like admin, sales, emailing, things like that.
So when you were back at the other shop, you you had this much work that kind of you're filling with now, where you just hired 5 people to do and you were doing it with one man, or you just kind of like went hard when you got to the new place?
Just went really hard, really. I was doing a lot of stuff by myself, but we were just like, it would take me a little bit longer to do things, and I always like prided myself on like fast turnarounds, but this was taking a lot longer at that time. And then we did come across a couple clients that are kind of like preferred contract clients. Like we don't do like official contract work, but they were started to give us like pretty high volume. And I'd already purchased the auto because that was kind of a way of life, or like a quality of life improvement that I needed, because I'd been manually printing for 15 years and it was just over pulling squeegees. So the auto was already on order at that point. But yeah, along with the new move and some of those new clients, like our volume is like skyrocketed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is it stuff that you guys went out for, or is it, you said you have a couple kind of contract preferred customers, or?
Yeah. So like one, for example, is this company I actually used to work for. They do, it's like an outdoor clothing brand, for like geared towards like the fishing industry. And they were doing, there's kind of like a long story, but they were like at one point screen printing everything. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, they had to let everybody go. And it was just the owner and I think at the time, like their manager, and they ended up going to transfers. So they were transferring everything because they just couldn't actually, they didn't have the ability to continue screen printing with 2 people, but they had enough business and they were doing enough sales, but their model is like on demand. So they couldn't keep up with screen printing. So they got rid of all that equipment and just bought some air fusions and they just transferred everything. And then kind of coming like out of the pandemic, they didn't want to keep doing transfers. They knew that it's not what they wanted to do. And now they're doing so much volume that transfers just didn't make sense anymore. So they approached me.
What kind of transfers were they using? Do you know?
Versatrans, like printed transfers.
Okay.
So just screen printed transfers. So they're like really good quality and they do work really well, but it just kind of came to a point where they wanted to get back to screen prints, and there's, just more that we can do with a print.
It's just funny because more and more on-demand places are going back again. Like, I feel like it was DTG or like a screen print transfer, but it was difficult to mess around with. And then people started going back to screen printing for it because of the quality. And then now DTF is coming back or coming in, and people are going back to transfers again. Yeah, with like the screen prints for them, it's like, they kind of missed having the option to do like a soft hand feel or, something that's, super detailed or like matte finishes or specialty stuff. Like, they wanted to get back into that. Makes sense.
So you said that you hired, these 5 people. Did the press op, for example, were they experienced, or did you train them? Do you have a lot like of people in your city to choose from? I mean, how does that work for you?
So that was, I can honestly say that was just like luck of the draw. There is some shops in our town. There's a few that were kind of around for a long time and closed down during the pandemic. There's nothing that's like I would consider like a crazy large operation here. That's more slightly north. We're like an hour south of Portland, and Portland has some huge shops. But I was just really lucky. Like, I had got the auto, got it up and running, and I'd printed some of the orders, and I was starting to train who became my production manager. He was going to become my main printer. I started to train him on the auto. He didn't have any auto experience. I had auto experience from another shop that I worked at previously. So I was able to pick it up pretty quick, but we just needed a little bit more help, and I just put some feelers out there, and there was a gentleman, his name's Juan, and he was working at another shop in town, and he had printed at a contract shop in a different town for like 10, 15 years almost, and he was working at that shop, and he just needed more hours. So he started helping out for, I don't know, it was like 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, cool. This guy like knows his stuff, super helpful. He's coming in, he's working like morning shift over there and then coming in for a couple hours in the afternoon. And I was like, okay, this is like a good flow. And then he came to me and said, hey, they're letting me go at the other shop because they don't have enough work for me. And I need like full-time work right now. And so that was super stressful. I knew that I had at least, like, with what we had lined up, I was like, dude, I can bring you on for, a month or 2. So you're not, because he was like, just let go, no 2-week notice or anything like that. And I was like, dude, I can help you out for at least a little while and we'll kind of see what happens. And then that was like, 4 months ago. So we're staying plenty busy and he's happy. So, but he's a guru and we super thankful for him. So.
Yeah, I feel like that's the hardest part is when you get an opportunity with somebody to hire them and you're kind of hoping it works out and you have enough work to keep them.
Yeah.
And then you went ahead and hired 5 people.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that kind of like lit, it was kind of when we brought him on, he was like the first like hire outside of, my friend who's Jason, by the way, if I say his name. He was our first hire outside of Jason, and I just saw like how good he was and how talented he was. And I was like, if I can't keep him here, like he's going to go somewhere else. Like he's going to have to, because he has a family he needs to provide for. But I was like, I really want him to be here. So that's where that kind of brought in my girlfriend helping me with trying to get more clients and more business. And kind of grow relationships with our current clients. And so it's been good, but yeah, it's been a little stressful.
I mean, I think that's a big deal for a lot of shops, really, because I don't know, there's been when somebody comes along and like Juan did, or when somebody comes here and applies and they have experience, or maybe they just have a great attitude or something like that, even if we don't need them right then, you almost want to take them on, because right now it's like it's super hard to find somebody,
because it's hard
right?
to come
So,
by.
Yeah, listening to your guys' podcasts, like I have heard there was like a period not too long ago where you guys were both kind of struggling to bring people in, and it was like,
Well, the thing
I was
is,
just
I feel like even when
visioning that, and I was like, oh my god, if I don't take him now, like I'm not going to find a printer. So what do I do then?
the thing is, even when it's good, like even when you have a flow of people that could come work for you, it's still hard to find a good one. You know what I mean? You could do 50 interviews and you never know if that person's attitude or whatever is going to align with everyone else in the shop. So if you have an opportunity to get someone where you're like, yeah, I know this dude's going to work out really well, it's almost like you need to just take a risk and jump on it and find work for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's literally what I just kept telling myself, and I was like, I'm gonna have to make this work.
I mean, even if you can't come up with a full 40 hours, so what? I mean, let's say you have 30 hours and there's 10 hours where they don't have work to do, but I don't know what you're paying them, but it's so worth it just to go ahead and pay that, just pay so that they have their 40 hours. Just pay it, because you may not ever find the right person. I mean, so I don't know.
Yeah, just the auto experience was key, because there's not, like I said, there's not a lot of shops in town that have an auto. There was that one and maybe one other one, and then that one just closed. So I knew that the chances of finding somebody with that experience was low, and I know that there's like it's kind of like a two-sided thing there, because sometimes you would like to just be able to train people your way. But I learned so much from him, even having my own auto experience. I learned so much from him in the first 2 weeks that I was like, this guy's invaluable.
That's awesome. So speaking of that, how did you get started in this whole thing? You said you've been doing it for 15 years now? Yeah,
15 years. So it's kind of a semi-long story, but I'll try to make it as flow.
Give us the good parts.
Yeah, flow as easy as I can. It's not that it's long, but there's a lot of offshoots in my life. I started screen printing in high school, and so there was a graphic design class in my high school, and your final project was make a t-shirt, and they had a small little Vastex press with using capillary film, and so that's what kind of sparked my interest. I was like, oh wow, this is super cool. I was instantly hooked, and I decided I was going to try to find a job printing. So I rode my bike around town, and I found a print shop, and it was just weird because I'd never paid attention to what screen printing was. I had never known that was a thing. And then, I started seeing screen printing, these different places in town. And so I found a place, and I just walked in and said, hey, I've printed a couple shirts. Do you need help? Mm-hmm. And it was just kind of happenstance. He was like, when can you start? And I said, whenever. And he's like, you can right now? And I was like, sure. So I started right away, and it was actually the guy, it was just a one-man operation, a manual shop, and he was actually moving to a bigger location. So that first day I just helped him move his shop, and then he kind of was the one that taught me a little bit more about kind of the production side of screen printing. I learned what emulsion was and things like that. So at that time, my last couple years of high school, I was printing at school, and then I was printing for that print shop.
So how did that go with him though? Was he a good teacher? Was it a good, you got lucky that it was a good shop to work for?
No, it wasn't a good shop to work for. In the end, he wasn't there much. He kind of had his own extracurricular things that he was trying to do. And so that was I was 15, 16 at the time. And, there would be like people showing up that were like pissed off that like their order wasn't done, and they were like, "Where's my order?" And I'm like, I ordered this like 4 weeks ago, and me being just like this random printer in this dude's shop, I'm like, I have no idea who you are. I don't know what order you're talking about. So it was like I learned a lot, but I also learned a lot of things like probably not what to do and how to operate a little bit better. So it wasn't
So
too
you got
long.
punched in the face real early.
No, there was a couple interactions where I was like legit scared that people were like, not having their shirts for like events and things like that. So
Right.
like,
right.
no disrespect to that dude. He's still around and seems to do well. But I wasn't too long after that I got fired from there. I was there for maybe like a year, and I got fired because I like went to a concert.
Why'd you get fired?
There was just no like systems in place. Like it was kind of like I would show up after school or like in the evening or whatever, and I would just kind of print what was there. Like it'd be like a stack of shirts and then something on press with like a test print, and then I would just print that. But so I did that. I went to work one day, printed an order, and there was like a show up in Portland, so dipped out after I got that job done. And then he called me like right when I got to the show and was like, "Hey, like where are you at?" And I was like, "Oh, I printed what you had set up for me." And he's like, "Oh no, like I had another job that you needed to do. It has to be done today." And I was like, "Dude, there's no way. Like I'm gone. I'm an hour away and in Portland." And he was like, "You got to come back." And I was like, "No." And then he fired me. So
Yeah, fuck that guy.
yeah, yeah. So
I mean, truly, it's his
yeah.
fault. Like, he didn't have a system in place. He had no way to tell you or show you what was
Yeah.
next. So that's not on you. You're better off getting the hell out of there.
Yeah. So, so then I just ended up doing a couple things. Like around that time, I was really into BMX bike riding, and so I did, and I was also into music, playing in bands and things like that. So I started making like our own band merch, and I started like a BMX clothing company, kind of briefly, and that's kind of what like sparked like starting Don't Lose Hope. So like, started making other people's band merch, started making, some local business stuff. And that's kind of when DLH started. So I started DLH.
You did this out of your garage?
Yeah. So yeah, I basically, after I left that print shop, I bought just like the one station thing from Ryonet. And then I, did like my first like 2 or 3 jobs with like a heat gun. And knew that it was like I already knew about a conveyor and things like that because I'd worked in the shop, but I just didn't have the means to like buy those. So I just traded up. So did a few jobs like that, bought a flash dryer, did a few jobs like that, bought a 1 station 4-color, did a few more jobs, and then I bought 4 station 6-color press, and then I bought a conveyor and just kept doing that. So
you did it right.
Yeah. I think one thing that kind of held me back a little bit is during those early years, that was all like part-time. So that was, I had a day job, but I did it in a way that like I was always paying for everything outright. I was never financing anything. So that was kind of why
Right.
I did it that way. So I would work until I could achieve like the next piece of equipment realistically. And then
What was your day job?
So for like 10 years, I worked as a Geek Squad install manager for Best Buy. So I did,
Nice.
yeah, I did car audio and alarm systems, things like that.
I don't know if you guys can hear this or not, but I'm sure it's picking up somewhat. My son is up in his room playing. He has like a fucking command center in there. And he's playing some game with his friends right now, and he's fucking screaming at the top of his lungs. He's like, "Fuck yeah!"
You playing Fortnite?
I don't know what he's playing right now, but it is intense, whatever it is.
I just watched
hilarious.
this documentary last night. I don't recommend it. I don't think it was
Oh.
kind of terrible, but once I had started, I couldn't stop. But it was about this kid, this gamer who, you know what swatting is?
No.
You've heard of that?
No.
Uh-uh.
I didn't either, but apparently it's if you're pissed off at some other gamer you're playing, you actually call the police. So you call in like a threat
Oh,
to
yeah.
wherever they are, and like SWAT teams show up. to that person's
Yeah,
house. So they can
I
fuck
saw that
them
on a
up.
TV show.
Yeah. Well, it's like an hour. I don't know how long it is. It's on Netflix, and I watched it. And this kid would call in bomb threats, even, and everything like
Yeah.
that. And he finally called in this one, and they showed up to the wrong address, and they actually killed somebody. This was in Wichita, Kansas. Somebody from the police department shot and killed some totally innocent person.
Yeah.
And so he's in. I want to say he
that's
got like
kind of the SWAT dude's fault. Like, you just fucking bust in and shoot somebody.
They didn't even go in the house, and that you're right. It was like that person's fault, but they didn't go in the house. Like, the person came out of the house on their front porch or something, and wasn't listening, and so they shot him. But so it was like, I know, right? It's terrible.
That's
like,
so
it's a horrible
wild.
story, and he almost the kid didn't
He's
have.
not doing that. I'm
was
just gonna
gonna
set
say.
it straight real quick. Like, he's probably just like playing Gears or something and going crazy on people.
Yeah, I saw
Well, I
that
have
on
a
like a
question for
TV
you.
show that I didn't know that was a real thing, but apparently it is.
Yeah, it is. It's a sad, like, it was a depressing documentary. Don't watch it. I have a question for you though, because we had somebody ask us this past week. So we used to do sponsorships. So like, if somebody came in and they said they had an event, let's say they had a charity walk or something like that. We would sponsor their, like, the back printing on their shirt. So we had this program set up. This is pre-COVID. We had a program set up where, when there's a bunch of sponsors on the back, if you included our shop, like our logo as one of those sponsors, then you could get either a free back or a discounted back, things like this. And we had the script set up so that we would, when they asked, we would forward it to them, and script number 1 was a yes, and script 2 was a no. So like, if their event was like, we never sponsored, like, say, a softball team.
Sure.
And here's why. Because who knows how they're going to act or behave or whatever.
Right.
When they're out and they have our logo on their shirt and they're representing us. And also we only have limited funds to sponsor. And so we wanted to choose, like, good causes and things like that. And so it made sense. But I saw this, I was driving over like a few days ago, and I saw this Domino's delivery driver on the top of the car. They had the Domino's sign, and then the bumper sticker said, "My other ride is your mom," and that just reminded me of like why I was like, that dude was representing Domino's, driving around with this Domino's sign. And
that's perfect for the clientele that orders Domino's, though.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe you're right. And so it's like, you're saying that you're saying that they probably gave him, that was a company issued bumper sticker.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe.
It's all part of their branding. Right.
Yeah. I mean, branding's so important. And so I think that, I just wanted to mention this because
he's just giving him extra cheese.
Boom.
There you go. Literally. So anyway, what do you do for sponsors? Do you sponsor back of shirts or all the shirts? I mean, what do you do when somebody approaches you and they ask for a sponsorship?
Yeah, kind of like what you were saying. Like, I kind of have to feel out the situation and like what it's for. And if, I don't know, sponsorships are weird because, like you said, like, well, you might not know how somebody's going to act, but also, like, okay, there's this event and they want 100 shirts and they want us to sponsor it. It's like, it's hard to like put like an actual realistic return on investment on that. So sometimes I've done sponsorships and I felt like all that was I just gave them like $1 off or something like that each shirt, and then there's no ROI on it.
Happened.
It's like, I don't know, like I used to run races and things like that, and it's like I would think back to like how often I actually like looked at the sponsorships on the back of those shirts. It's like
never
in
a million years.
So it's tricky. I try to, like, if I'm gonna like legitimately sponsor something, I'll like try to at least make sure there's like some type of recognition, whether that's like, we just sponsored like this flea market that's coming up, so they wanted like 100 shirts, and we ended up giving them a little bit off, and we threw our logo on the back. But they've done a really nice job. Like, we shot a little bit content, and they've been posting it on Instagram, and they are shouting us out on other social media platforms, and there'll be a little thing at the event that says this is who printed our shirts. So at least there's something there. It's not just that tiny logo on the back of the shirt and that's all we're giving them the discount for. So I just try to make sure that there's some other type of recognition that we're getting.
Yeah, more than just that's the logo on the back of the shirt. Dylan,
right?
What do you do when somebody asks you for sponsorship?
9 times out of 10, we just say no. We just say no. We don't sponsor people. We just whatever. And then they just usually place the order, and we don't have to discount anything, and it is what it is. Or they're just looking for free shit, and they go to the next guy who's willing to print their shirts for nothing. I feel like there's certain situations though where it's a friend, or I know this person, or I really like the cause. I personally know the cause, and I'm all right, let's do something. Usually if it's a friend or something, I just give a money donation. They'll say, hey, we're doing this thing. And I'm okay, cool. Here's a check for a couple $100 or whatever it is.
When you say a friend, you mean also, does that friend place orders with you? So let's say it's a customer and they're coming to you all throughout the year, and then they have a golf tournament or something, to raise money, like a fundraising golf tournament.
That I would probably do something for. But most of the time it's just fresh people coming off the street. They're hey, we're doing this thing and we're looking for sponsors, and they never order from us or anything. I'm just usually no. We're not just giving away free stuff because you want to get free stuff, which is what the case is most of the time.
So you're saying it sort of depends on the circumstance. So if it's a customer and then they're putting on this event, then that's usually a yes. But if it's a stranger,
if it's a good
just
customer,
random...
I'll be yeah, whatever, fuck it, let's do it. But if it's a stranger, I usually say no. And I've even got burned a couple of times, doing sponsorship stuff, even with people that I was kind of friendly with. They'll be hey, will you sponsor my whatever team thing? And I'm okay, cool, yeah. Well, you pay for the blanks. We'll do all the printing. We'll do the design work, whatever it is. And then they just get to the point where they're just constantly asking for stuff. They're oh, we've got this thing coming up. Can you do this? And it's in 4 days. And it's okay, cool. Well, now we've got to get everything together, rush this, do this whole thing. And we're not getting paid anything. We're just doing it out of the kindness of our hearts. Or they're right. Hey, can you set up a store for us? Because we want to do a fundraiser. And then it's we have to set up the store, and we know we're not going to make any money on it. And I'm not in a hurry to get it done. And they get angry. And then it's just then it just makes people bitter. You know what I mean? It's the relationship didn't work out because I didn't want to fucking do it anymore because you're asking me to do a ton of work with no pay of anything. You're just taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah, I think it's tough, but even particularly now, because you want to give back to the community. We want to, of course. Yeah. And also we want to support and help other, our clients. But I think that I've decided to change it, and we're not going to do it anymore because of all of the things, COVID, inflation, recession, everything. And so instead, I just want to give annually, or maybe even more often, to a charity, to just give some, because a community, or sorry, a charity in our community. Because I think you're right. I think when you get involved with a lot of this stuff, the ROI is terrible. Typically,
there is none.
What do you guys do? The same exact thing for nonprofits. How do you feel about those? Nonprofits reaching
same
out
thing.
And hey, we're a nonprofit. What can you do?
They're just looking for free shit.
Yeah,
that's all. Let's be honest about it. Whatever organization it is, there's a person in charge that gets a pat on the back when they get more and more free shit.
Right.
For the company they work for.
Yeah.
So realistically, unless it's the mom of the team that's just trying to help the team, then that's different. But if it's someone who works for this organization that's just hey, Carol, I got us another 100 free shirts today. Here's your pat on the back. That's not doing us any good, and you're not going to get any ROI on it or anything.
Right.
The other thing though too is
perk.
They get all the glory, right?
Yeah.
And it's not about the glory. It's about if you're actually doing something good for them. I feel putting a sponsor on the back of the shirt isn't doing much good.
And maybe they're not for profit, but we are for profit.
Exactly.
So it just doesn't mesh sometimes, and maybe they don't realize that. And sure, I think they think that, that this sponsorship, that we're going to get all of this business, it's such a win-win,
right.
but
Shit's
it really,
in.
Like it doesn't really work like that, and there's really no even way to track it. So it's hard.
And stuff
to,
like that changes hands so often that it's like I can't think of many like repeat clients that we've had from like a nonprofit, for example. It's like the next year, whoever it is, like changes hands, and then you're forgotten about, and it's like you don't even get that repeat work.
The other little part of that is it's such like a thing that's ingrained in all of us that like if you go to an event or if like you say a running race and there's always sponsors on the back, it's not a new thing anymore. It's not like something you're looking out for. You're like, oh, let me read down the list of the sponsors on the back of the shirt. You just know there's going to be fucking sponsors there.
Right.
And it's just like another thing. Like you just don't even think about it. But like I agree with Andy is like there's a lot of charity things that just we do in general just because I want to actually do something for the community. Like I used to be in Rotary for a really long time and I was on the board and like we did a ton of huge projects and gave a ton of money to like food banks and like all this other stuff or built things for our town or whatever. Like that was just, I wanted to do that because I could actually see a difference being done. You know what I mean? Like we'd raise money to like build the bikeway walkway that I literally walk on every single morning. Like they built that. Or like, you know, giving money to a food bank that you can obviously see like people giving food to people who need it and stuff like that. That's a big thing. And last year we started a Christmas drive. Yeah. And I want to do that even harder this year to where like we ended up getting a ton of toys and we gave them to Toys for Tots, which all the local kids that need toys get toys for Christmas. Yeah. So shit like that, like I would rather take my funds and put into stuff like that where I can actually see like shit happening. Right. And 100%. Like the other part of that too is like being in Rotary, like I've seen things where it's just like I don't want to bash anybody, but like, I don't really care. Like the American Cancer Society, like we would do this thing every year where it was like this big like wine festival thing and all the money from it would go to the food bank. So we did it at the golf course at the country club, and we would have like this wine tasting thing, and we would at the end of it we would end up giving like 10 grand to a local food bank and be like, hey, buy food with this. But you would ask, you know, certain sponsor people to be like, okay, do you want to do this thing? And they would always send like one person that was an intern that knew nothing about the Cancer Society. That knew nothing. And they would just sit at a blank table with no like handouts or anything, maybe like just one stack of business cards or pamphlets. And it was just like, we literally are giving you like for that specific event, it might be like 10 grand goes to the local community, but like 20 might've went to the American Cancer Society. Cause it was like, that was the push for that event because it was something everyone could rally around, was like a cancer thing or whatever. And it was like, they didn't give two shits. They were just like, they sent out, like I said, they sent out an intern with a plain white table. Yeah. So it's just kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like,
I like that idea too. When you get to pick and choose which ones, you know, which charities are important to you, or maybe it's not even a charity. Maybe it's, so recently there was a flood here and a business that had just opened, got completely flooded out. And it was a sewing company and they started a GoFundMe and I jumped on and donated money to that, you know? And so I love being able to do that, and because I connected with that, you know, situation. And so I think that's the best way to do it. And so I need to be more generous, I think, and give more. I would say that I could do more, but I don't want to do it sponsoring shirts anymore, you know, like sponsoring their events anymore. I just want to do it. I want to change it up.
Yeah. Like it's too common and there's too.
I don't think it's anything like super new in a print shop, but yeah, I had a huge stockpile of like old blank hats that we just like weren't using. And yeah, like recently, like a friend approached me that does a lot of work with like the homeless communities around here. And like we've had a pretty hot summer for Oregon. And so they were like looking for hats just to give out, you know, for people to help, you know, shield their eyes and things like that. So yeah, I was like, just get rid of them. And we just gave them all the hats so that they could just hand them out.
We did that. We did that last year. We had, I don't know, I talked about it on the show before, but I ended up trying to find a place to get rid of, like, we had a ton of backstock. Like after a year or 2 or 3 or whatever, we had like 2 or 3 big racks full of nothing but just like extra blanks or stuff that we got sent to by accident, and just tons of shirts and stuff. It was like youth, adult, whatever, hoodies, tees, anything, tons of stuff. So what I ended up doing is I ended up going through all of it, and I sorted it by, stuff that could actually be worn. And we gave away a ton of it to the nurses' offices at the local schools. Because the one thing, I don't know why, I just like had an idea. I was like, there's always that fucking kid that like throws up on themselves, pisses their pants, gets a bloody nose, whatever, that's just like fucked, you know what I mean? Or they get in a fight with another kid at school and they stretch their shirt out and all this other stuff. I was like, just give them a ton of blank shirts to where, like, if this sick kid comes in, shit all over the shirt, just give them a new one. Like, give them a brand new one.
That's a good idea.
So that's what we did. We just boxed up a ton of shirts and went to the school and was like, hey, here's like 400 shirts. But what I don't want you, like, we put in a clause basically, like, we'll give you these to you, but they have to be used for this. Like, or, individual kids, if there's a poor kid or whatever, need some stuff, give it to them. But I do not want to see you turn around and give me these shirts and ask me to print shit on it. You know what I mean? Like, don't like turn around and try to use these for a fundraiser or something else. Like, they're specifically for kids who need shirts.
Have you guys figured out or like ever come across anything about like recycling printed garments?
Not really. I know. I think there's things. I think we talked about this with Jared from Rockford Art Deli, but I think pretty much what we do is we just print the fuck out of them, like inside out, every single spot, and then after that they become a rag. Yeah. And then after that they're basically useless, and we just throw them in the dumpster.
You're at least getting like as much use out of that fabric as you can.
Right. But if we print like a whole order that's a misprint and there's really nothing wrong with it, the customer just complained about something. Sure. I would rather donate it to something. But there's two sides to that too, is because it's not really awesome for the customer to send back shirts and then see a ton of random homeless people wearing their shirts around town.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like their logo.
Second. Yeah.
And you're like,
I've done that
same
before.
thing. We might use them for rags or whatever. Yeah. We have to.
All right. I got another one. So, I just moved somebody into a new role. It's a customer. We call it customer success. But do you like that name, customer success, or do you like customer care? Because I know Justin from Oklahoma uses customer care. Customer service, I don't like. I think it's, I don't know, maybe just old, and I'm looking for something new. So what do you call the person that helps customers?
Me? No. Right now,
call that person Sarah.
Yeah,
it's called Rodney.
Her name, it's myself, or her name, my girlfriend Elisa. No, I mean, realistically, we just call them like, that's like the sales role right now. So we don't have like a fancy name for it. It's just whether we're helping a customer like place an order or helping them through the design process, it's just kind of general sales.
Yeah, I just say customer service because it's another one of those things that's just so heard all the time that they don't think about it when you say customer service. They just think about what the role is. I feel like if you had a fancy title, they would just be like, what the fuck is this fancy title bullshit that you're trying to feed me right now?
I don't think that.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm just saying that like it gives me the skeevies a little bit to be like, this is my, level 3 customer smiles officer. And it's like, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't think success is that bad though. I think like Printavo uses
thanks,
it.
Thank you.
I think Printavo, like,
yeah,
if I
right.
recall, they're like client success managers or something like that.
Yeah, I credit goes to Printavo Matt, because that's where I first heard it, because he's he mentioned it one time or whatever, and because somebody was asking that they, I think it was Scott, and he had just hired somebody, and he said that he was going to call them office assistant. I can't talk. Office assistant. And then he's like, oh, then somebody said shop bitch. That's not going to work. I don't know. So what do you think? Not success?
Success is fine.
Yeah, it's all right.
I don't know. But what does that mean? Obviously, it should be a customer success. Like,
Oh, yeah. That's what Scott said. Something like customer experience team. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
Because you're wanting to, and I know maybe you think that some people would say that, you know, role titles don't mean anything, but I think they do. I think that it's important. I think that you have that role, and if the role sounds good without being cheesy or like you said, it's bullshit or anything, I think it's important. I think that you take it seriously then. And so I like the success part because I want it to be a successful experience, you know? So I don't know. That's why I chose that.
Dude, you're real close to the road, aren't you,
Me?
Rodney? Yeah.
Yeah, a little close. Yeah, my office is upstairs and it oversees the road.
I can hear like I can hear like cars going by that are like.
So being so close, like with that exposure,
buffer.
do you have a sign out there?
Yeah, we just put it up. I can see it right now.
I was going to say, I just saw it posted.
Yeah, we just put it up like 2 weeks ago.
Are you noticing people noticing? Well, is it getting noticed?
It is actually. Like, it wasn't like a price. Like, we hadn't had it up for a few months. It wasn't really high on my priority list. I also just didn't think. I've been off, you know, not in a drive traffic area for so long that I really didn't think that it was going to make a huge impact. But we've got quite a few calls. People like, hey, we just saw your sign. Like,
I feel like shit like that is so important. Like, you got to think about it if it's you though. Like, you're the business owner and you're like, whatever, like, I don't really give a shit. But like, if you're driving by, like, we just had this discussion like 2 nights ago because we were talking about someone's business and it was just a fucking shithole. And I was like, you got to think that the customer walking into that place, they're like, okay, everything I buy here, like, minimum order is probably $200 at least.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're walking in here being like, oh, cool, I'm going to give this person $200 to $1,000 to a lot of money. And it looks like hell in here, or they don't brand themselves, or they don't like take anything seriously. They're just like running around just trying to get shit done. Like, do I trust that they're going to do customer success? Or is it going to be shitty? So it's like one of those things, like, if you like, there's a diner in town and like they just have a generic sign, generic diner or whatever. I always think about those cool diners that I see off the interstate or something when you're like driving into another town or another city you've never been to, and they have this big, like, beautiful sign, or it's like hand carved, or it's fucking got neon on it or something. You always are like, ooh, what's that place?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you took the time and effort and put it into the branding and the sign, and people are like, oh yeah. Or like, if you start a business and the last thing they think about is like branding or logos, and they just do it themselves on MS Paint, it's like, dude,
sweet.
That should be like a huge focus for you. Like, you should really put time and effort and money into your branding.
Yeah, you can be like Ron at Talk Shirty and have it on your roof or something like that, so you can see it from the moon.
Yeah, we're going to do a bunch of, like,
Dude, Ron.
Like I said, our neighbors that just moved in and that share our upstairs office spaces, it's some tattoo artists, and so we're going to have them do some, like, hand painting out on the side of the building to kind of, like, label, because, like, we get a lot of people, like, our logo's kind of tattoo, like, essence, I guess, and so we get a lot of people that walk into our shop looking for the tattoo studio, so, like, we need to, like, kind of, you know, label that a little bit better. Like, this is like the screen printing shop, and then like this is the tattoo shop. So we're going to do something like that to kind of like make it just have a little bit more of an aesthetic. But yeah, we've been getting so many more people like walking into the building that my next kind of big project is trying to figure out how to like build out a showroom, because I've never really had to do that. So that's kind of what we're working on right now, because for a while our showroom was just like a warehouse of storage for boxes, and people are walking in and it didn't look very good. So now we at least have some displays and some samples, but trying to like kind of figure out what that experience looks like when people do come in. Because it was kind of fumbly at first, like, oh, these are our shirts, and like not knowing like what that like pitch is to like a walk-in customer, because we hadn't ever had that. So be like having those customers that walk in like, all right, we want some t-shirts, and it's like, oh, like we like need some type of like form or something to document this, or should we just have them fill out our form on our website?
I think that, so we have a lot of experience in this because we have tons of walk-ins every day. So I would say that what we found works really well is to have a good, better, best. And so,
Sure.
you have 3 types of shirts, 3 types of fleece, and so on, that you can just show them. I mean, because I think giving too many choices, like a whole catalog, is bad. I like to just narrow it down to like what we think are the good, better, best options, depending on your budget. And like the project that you're working on. And then also I have some samples of, like you said, you're getting some samples up there. So we have some samples of like what a distressed print looks like,
Right.
so that's an option, or different sizes, because a lot of times we'll say, okay, well, cool, you're getting a youth small, but you're also getting an adult 3X, within your size run. And so I recommend a resize, and they don't understand that. So we have, 2 different size prints just right there in the front to show them what that looks like, things like that.
Oh,
so
that's
that
a good idea.
like they get a visual, of some of the costs that we're talking about. So I don't know.
I just think it's one of those things where you should walk in with a clear head and think about if you were the customer or you've never been in that place, or just have a friend come in and be like, hey, will you like be a fake shopper and kind of like walk in and tell me like tell me straight up like how this looks or what this feels like or whatever, and then change it up. Because like I said, you don't think about that shit in your day to day. You just want to like print shirts and get stuff done.
Right.
But like customer experience, like coming in, is a big deal.
Customer success.
I know that's been huge for us. And that's another thing too, like even in our small town, like it's a small town and everyone kind of knows who you are, but like we still to this day, like between my shop, Lindsay's shop, the craft store next door, and then Aubrey's shop at the end, they still all of us get people that are like, oh, I never knew you were here. And it's like,
okay,
fucking, like we've been here for like 13 years. Like, how do you not
and your town's very
know
small.
we're here? Or we still get people. Yeah, we get people that come to the door and ask where they can buy bait or like shotgun shells, and it's like that hasn't been here for like 15 years. Like, what are you doing?
We get people coming in a lot for looking for appliances.
Yeah, and like the other end of our building we're redoing right now, and one of the things I wanted to do is like our road is you have to turn on our road basically in that area, and on the end of the building there, I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put up 2 4x8 aluminum signs on the wall and light them up and everything for the craft store and for Aubrey's store. I don't care about my own promoting it locally to people driving by because they don't really want walk-ins. But I was like, I'm going to make this look really nice for them so that like there's no excuses now. Like if you drive down our road, these stores exist.
Sure.
They're here because there's these 2 big signs on the wall and it looks really awesome. So I'm excited to see like how many more people just pull over and stop in because they can see that branding really well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So there are so many questions. You got a ton of questions, Rodney.
Cool.
I don't even know if we'll have time to get through all of them.
Most of them are about your mustache.
Hey.
But we already answered that.
I take pride in it.
Can we go to questions right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
So Jake, he asks, what was the one thing you did with your build out of the new shop that was icing on the cake?
There's probably a few things. One, like I mentioned earlier, how we had the electrical, the panel split and sent to the back. That's been super helpful because since we're still building out the shop, like I kind of have my electrician come out, I don't know, every other month or so, because we haven't like this isn't the permanent home for this piece of equipment type of thing. So we've been able to like easily add like power to certain things because that panel's like in the back where the shop is. It would be much more of a nightmare and a headache because we would have had to have run circuits an extra like 50 feet to where the panel used to be. So it was a little bit of money up front, but having that dedicated panel for just the shop area is super nice, and it makes things a little bit, I don't know, beneficial. Like we ended up running like a distribution block like to the roof, like to the middle of the shop. So like right there's already like another 10 circuits just like ready to drop anywhere we want. We just haven't figured out where those are going to go yet.
That's super important. Yeah,
So
electric
that's cool.
is typically It's like the most expensive thing
Yeah.
in your shop, and super important too. I love when we were down at Made Lab, and they had these electric runs that were just gorgeous, like so beautiful the way it was like artistry the way they ran their electric. And by the way, that was Jake from Becker.
Cool. Yeah. And then I was going to say also probably like putting the compressor like in a completely separate room. Because I worked in a shop before where the compressor was right next to the press, and that was pretty annoying. So if you have the ability, I put mine as far away as I could, and I never hear it. So that's cool.
Nice. I'm just going to run through some of them. Juan at Squeegee Prince says, I must ask him a question, but I'll shave it for later.
Dude, Juan's awesome.
Yeah, Juan is amazing. I love his shop. Jeff from Tiny Fish asks, what's your next big purchase or investment?
So it's probably still a little bit out, but I think I think our two areas that are lacking is reclaim, but I don't think we're quite there yet to where we don't quite have the demand yet for an auto reclaim system. But I think CTS is our next investment. So we just have a film printer right now. So I think getting the CTS in some type of reg system for our press is our next move. I just don't really know.
Do you know what one you want to go with?
No, I don't yet. I know like back in the early days of the pod, you guys talked about CTS like all the time, but yeah, I'm not too sure. So I know that I'm hoping that they're coming down in price a little bit with like laser coming out. So I'm hoping that they come down a little, but
all I'm going to say is do your research. Just like pick what works best for you and your climate and all that stuff. So,
yeah, I'm hoping to check out some more units and stuff. Hoping that there's some more. It's like some trade shows coming up just to like see and get some more like insider knowledge about. But
come out to Long Beach. We'll hang out.
Yeah, I'm for sure probably going to come to Long Beach. I'm going to. It's not a show, but I'm going to go to Print Hustlers this year. So
well, we'll see you there.
Cool.
This kind of goes in with this a little bit. JYogi3 says, can't wait to hear from Rodney. Where do you see DLH in 5 years? Do you have any particular goals or milestones that you'd like to hit?
So, I mean, I want to grow the print operation, but I think our way of doing that, like I'd love to have like 2 autos and have like a dialed system for production. I think like our way of doing that is going to be with like building like client relationships. So just kind of like elevating like our current clients. Like we rely heavily on repeat work. But there's a lot of clients that, for example, like I have to remind periodically, like I'll run into them or something like that. And I'm like, hey, like, they're like, oh, we haven't placed an order in a long time. We need some shirts. And I'm like, I know. Then like the next day they'll like place an order, but it's like, how long were they like just sitting empty? So trying to figure out a way to like, we've never really been like the company that like reaches out to our clients, but I think some type of program now that I have the resources for it to kind of like reach out to those clients and be like, hey, like, how's it going? Do you want to try like a new design? Do you want to like, what do you like, how's your stock looking? So something like that. And I'd also really like to work more with like educating the customer. I think right now we're seeing a lot of, some of my biggest hurdles are people like coming in and, they want like small orders or things like that, or just not understanding how shirts are made, at least with screen printing. Mm-hmm. So it's hard because now I have before I had no problem somebody wanting like a 12-piece order and wanting it to be like full color. I had no problem like turning it away. Like, nah, like I'm not the shop for you. But now that I have 5 people to look out for and I have all this overhead, like I'm trying to figure out ways to like, what is the best tool to like help out as many customers as I can without like sacrificing quality. So trying to like, I don't want to sacrifice quality. I want them to better understand like why they're getting such a better quality product for the price that we're going to charge them. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is with that is educating the customer as much as you can.
Right.
So I fully agree with you on the quality thing. Like I hate that just because someone's either a small company and can't afford a lot of shirts, or whatever. I still want the small guy who wants 20 shirts to get the same quality printing as the guy who orders 10,000 shirts.
Right.
Like, I don't feel like it's fair that just because they don't have a lot of money, they have to have a shit shirt. But what we're doing is, within the last 2 years, basically everyone had to up their pricing because of all the COVID stuff and inflation and everything else. And then, just redoing your pricing charts and figuring this out and all this other things. The industry was going hard on raising minimums.
Sure.
So pretty much a year ago, everyone was talking about how they had to raise their minimums. So we went up to, we went from our minimums 12 to 25, and then we were talking about having our minimum be 50.
We did the same.
And then pretty much we saw a drop in, because once we started telling people that they had to order, if they're getting a 8-color print, the minimum they have to get is 100 shirts. Or if they're getting, a 6-color print, they have to at least get 50 shirts, and so on. We were just seeing a lot of people be like, all right, fuck it, I'm just not going to order then.
Yeah, same.
The thing is there's, we want to help them, but where do we draw the line? So we started to draw the line at color count. So that's why some people would come to us with their high color art, and we're like, well, you have to order 100. It's not worth it for us to set up a 12 color for fucking 25 shirts. It doesn't make any sense. It's literally on the gauntlet. It's 1.5 spins worth of shirts.
Right.
And it's this doesn't make any sense for all the labor. So that's when we started to dive really deep into the DTF stuff, because we wanted to help all these customers that wanted to order a 12 color print, but could only get 12 or 25 or whatever. So I think that's the thing is I've been doing a shitload of testing with a ton of different companies and a bunch of post-pressing techniques and different things, and trying everything I can. And I feel like I've got a pretty good product where now I feel comfortable just educating the customer and being like, hey, this isn't screen printing, but it's a water-based transfer.
Right.
This is what it looks like. Here's a photo of we've done a lot of things where we've literally printed a 12 color print, and then we did a DTF of the exact same design, put them side by side, and we look at it and we're like, wow, this looks like there's almost some better things on the DTF other than feel or whatever.
Right.
But we're telling the customer straight up, I'm not telling customers this is a screen print. I don't want to be like, hey, yeah, we'll print your shirts and not mention it, and then they get DTF when they were expecting screen printing.
Right.
So I think as long as you educate the customer and you're like, hey, I want to help you out. If you just need shirts and you don't, it doesn't have to be screen printing. Here's an alternative. And we've had so many customers just totally down. We're we're doing so much more low quantity stuff now, high color, and charging full retail.
Right.
We're okay, these shirts are gonna be $25 a piece, and they're like, okay, cool. I just want these shirts. I want a 12 color front, and this is what I want. I want 25 shirts. And I feel every day we're ordering a shitload of DTF to do these shirts. So it's kind of nice to be able to still help out those small customers. Yeah,
we just did one. Yeah, and again, I'm not a huge fan of DTF, but like you said, if I don't do it, they're like, okay, cool, I'm out, and then they're just gonna go somewhere else and do it. So I'm trying to use that as like you said, an educational thing, but to try to elevate that. And we just did one where it was a 12 piece full color print on some tote bags, which wasn't bad because it's not on your shirt. So on a tote, I think it was fine, but they're gonna come back now and they're gonna place a big order for their work, because these were birthday party things for somebody's 40th birthday. Yeah. And then now they're gonna come back. So being able to once I can get them into the shop and talk to them, okay, this is what we're gonna do for this print, but as you can see, this is what screen printing is, and this is the feel, and oh yeah, well, I work for this company, we might need shirts. So if you do that one thing and you can do it quickly, might convert it into a bigger client.
Right. I just feel like it's another one of those things. I try to look at it as a tool as much as I can. I want to screen print as much as possible. Don't get me wrong. We try to talk these people. The first thing we do is say, we'd love to do this for you, but the minimum is going to be 50 shirts or 100 shirts. And then we feel them out after that, where they're just nah, I'll just not get them this year or all whatever. So I feel the goal is to always give them the best quality product possible. But if the end goal for them is that they just really want that design and it's for an event and they just want shirts, then we're like, okay, cool. Well, we have another method we could choose. And they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's just do it.
Right.
Or like you said, like they might only want 25, but their next order is going to be 2,500. Like,
Right.
let's do DTF for the 25 so you can get it out to some people and get feelers if the design works. And then they're like, oh yeah, people love this. And then we'll screen print the 2,500.
Yeah.
How do you guys quote? Do you ever quote blindly? In other words, do you have customers that say, hey, I need a quote on 400 shirts. It's going to be a 4-color front or a 6-color front or whatever without seeing the art? Do you ever just quote that? And then let's say you win the quote and then the art comes in and it's sure, it might be 6-color, but it's like incredibly detailed and it's going to be, super tough to screen print. Does it ever happen? Or do you always ask for the art?
I demand the artwork. Training like Elisa to like do sales and stuff like that. She's like, what would be like the price for this? I'm like, where's the artwork? And she'd be like, no, like it's just like a 1-color front. I'm like, where is the artwork? Because like the problem is I don't know, like every once in a while, like if somebody's really pushy, I'll be like, okay, this is like your ballpark price without seeing the artwork because you're telling me that it's a 2-color print. But like they'll say that they have a vector file and then they send over an Illustrator file, but there's embedded PNGs or something like that is low quality. And then it's like, I don't know, I have such a hard time with that because I'm trying to like, okay, cool, like we got the job. But then it's like, oh, well, like, dude, like this is going to take me like an hour to like fix this artwork. Or you said it was a 1-color, but like it's actually like a really detailed, like, grayscale image that's like gonna require more work or whatever
We're
it is.
actually going to use 3 whites for this.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Exactly.
okay, it's like,
Yeah, we just had that.
yeah, we need a top white or something. And it's like, cool. Like now you have to try to explain that to them.
We
and
just
then
had
they
this
get
happen where we bid on it's for the St. Louis Art Fair, and I think they had like 6 designs, with all of them are multicolor. And then we bid on this months ago. We finally get the job because they didn't have artwork totally completed yet, and so
Right.
it was still being worked on. And so then we win, and then we receive the art, and we actually attempted. We attempted to print the first one. In fact, I think Kyle made like 40 screens because we were getting ready to print several of them. And we went after the first one, and it was a fail. Like we just didn't get the detail we wanted. So we ordered DTF. And it came in and it looks amazing. Like it's beautiful. And so we ordered the rest in DTF. And luckily, it's probably going to work out we're still profiting on the job. Maybe not quite as much, but it's actually really close. Yeah, it's going to take longer. It's a little tedious in that, you're pressing one at a time because we do not have that Eric
I'm pressing
auto.
twice.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I have a big boy AirPress.
Well, I like the that post press for DTF that Dylan's talking about.
I haven't tried that yet.
You have
So
to.
There's different techniques.
It's a huge, like if you did it once with just one press, it's a night and day difference when you do it the second time.
wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it twice. Like
With
there's
that, the top of material that gives it a different feel. It's not as smooth anymore. I really like it. But, so I think sometimes if you get in a jam, DTF can get you out of it too, and so anyway, it's tricky. We're learning it. It's going to be one of those samples that we have at the front to show people and say, look, kind of like what Dylan said is here's what it could do.
That's another thing
right.
too. Like Bill, who's a printer for me, said like he just went to the mall the other day. Like we have a really big mall in Syracuse, and he was like, dude, so many of the stores I went into have transfers.
I'm
He's like,
thinking the same
so
thing. I saw this.
many shirts are just like
many.
full color transfers.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So
how
like that's the
changing.
thing is the market's used to it right now. Like
Right.
they're like, this is what I want, and that's why everybody is just sending us. And I've said this before with like hybrid printing. It's like somebody will take literally a photo on their phone and put a filter on it and be like, this is the one I want. This is my design.
And then I'm like, are you sure?
And it's like, oh, right. Like we can screen print this, but literally we just had a design the other day that was for, I can't remember what it was for the customer, but it was like keys on a keyboard and it had like all these masks on it and it was like full color. It looked beautiful. Artwork's awesome. But literally everything in it is a gradient. Like every key had shading and different colors and like all these masks were like a ton of different colors. We were like, yeah, if you do 100 of these, we will do a 12 color sim process and job on it. It'll look cool, but it'll be like 100% made up of halftones. Like it'll look good. Like we'll use small halftones. Like it'll look
Right.
like a nice screen print, but like we could do this as a water-based transfer and it'll look exactly like your artwork. Like no questions asked, like a full digital print. And they were like, yeah, let's do the digital. And that was 100 shirts. So like we could have printed it, but we told them like, this might actually look better as a digital print because that's the style of artwork you did.
Right.
That
makes
and
sense.
that's what we did. And we're pressing those on Monday. So, again, like I think it's just like the market. Like I remember back when I first started, it was like everybody wanted mass oversize or they wanted foil. And it was like, I fucking hated foil. But it's like, it's what everybody wanted at the time. And it's like, and same with Puff. Like Puff just like kind of had its day where it's like every other job people wanted Puff. And it's like, we might not like it, but that's not our job to like it. It's our job to fucking make the shit happen for the customer.
Right. Yeah.
So
I remember
if that's
doing
what
the
they want, then
VNTs,
that's what we do.
the full print, and then having to like use my flash dryer in my garage and like move it to like cure the bottom. And
terrible.
It was awful.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Graphic Source says, shout out Salem. I used to travel there all the time. Question, is Salem still growing? Where do you see that market going?
Cool. Salem, I think, is kind of like, it's coming out of like the COVID thing. Like we had a lot of stuff shut down. Luckily, like our business stayed pretty steady. We kind of did our best to like help, print merch for like fundraising and things like that. So, people weren't losing their businesses. We do like a lot of like our local like downtown clients and things like that. But right now, like I feel like I've noticed a lot more, like Salem's kind of coming back to life. Like after COVID, like, this is a year where like there's all these events, there's all these new businesses and there's all these people that are kind of, getting back to it. So I think it's growing. I know we also lost a few shops like during the pandemic. So there's a few people that, used to go to another shop that are now coming to us. So I'm not too sure, it's growth for me. I don't know. I don't know about the market, but yeah, overall, I'd say it's growing. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Aesthetic Imprint says, what made you want to choose the Anatol Titan over the Volt, pneumatic versus electric?
Kind of a sore subject. So no,
Tell us why.
Yeah, no, I love the Titan. It's a great press. So like I mentioned before, we were at our old location and we bought the auto that we have specifically for that space. So the footprint and the electrical and air demands were for that space. So we went with the biggest press that we knew that we could get there. And we had no power there. Like the auto was going to max out the power 100%. So like the auto and the flash would max the power out. So we had to get the Titan because the Volt required more power. So that's why we had to go with some
So
air.
you wanted the Volt?
Yeah, we would have went with the Volt if we could have, but I knew that like the power restrictions were going to be tricky because we were possibly already going to have to look at adding more service anyway, and that was going to be an extra expense. So that's why we went with the Titan overall. And we went with the footprint that we have because of that shop. So that was part of the reason we chose Anatol, was because of the extra head that flips up and down. So, which has been like a lifesaver for some of the stuff, which, say we have a 7-color 8-station, which now it sucks because if we could have projected that we were going to end up in the location that we're in, we would have went with a Volt, and we would have went with at least the next size up, probably like a,
well, that'll be your next
station or
press.
something like that. Yeah. So that'll be the next one. So that's kind of why we went with the Titan over the Volt. It was just out of the requirements of the last location. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, this ties into the next question. Big North Graphics asks, if you had unlimited funds, what would be the first thing you'd add to your shop machinery wise?
A bigger press.
A Volt.
Yeah, a Volt. A bigger press. I mean, so far, like I really like our Anatol. The part of the reason, again, with that too, was turnarounds. Like we were looking at an M&R, but that was only, a 6-color 8-station, and the turnaround was, 5 more months longer than our Anatol. So getting the extra color, we got it. It still took forever because after we placed the order is when all the cargo ships started building up or getting backed up. So it took a long time anyway. But yeah, I would bigger press for sure, because there's all like some of the things like that we've had used DTF on are like, man, dude, if we had literally one more print head, we would just screen print this, but we can't. So that sucks. Right. And then CTS for sure, because our reg times they're really fast with WAN printing, but like me, like I'm still pretty slow when we get over a 2-color. So something to like a CTS and regging would be
some kind of registration system
would be awesome.
Okay. I'm not sure how to say this, so I'm going to say ecggp.4u asks, my question is, what would his top 3 tips or priorities be for someone looking to do or on the verge of moving into a phase 2 or 3 of their silkscreen shop journey? I just recently moved into what some would consider phase 2 of my print journey, and phase 3 is knocking on the door. I just want to make sure I'm in the right headspace and anticipation for common challenges or obstacles. The reason I ask this question is because it looks like we went auto with Anatol, which is another question, and moved into a commercial space at the same time. Which are major projects to manage? Cash reserves, workflow adjustments, unexpected equipment purchases, things like that. So I guess tips that you now know the answer to from moving from your last shop to this shop would be, and hiring 5 people all at once.
Sure.
What would your tips be?
Reach out, like talk to other shops, probably for sure. I talked to a couple of them just to like make sure like I wasn't missing anything, which like still like once, the auto like came and I like didn't even have a compressor yet, which like I knew we needed, I just didn't have one yet. And I was like, crap. So I had to like, just go buy one from Lowe's. So there's things that you're always going to forget, but if I could give some like tips of some things to really spend some time on, one for us was going like vertical as possible. We never really had that ability before, but as far as like storage and shelves and things like that, because when we first moved in, it was a nightmare, and there was boxes and storage and things like that all over the floor. So now that we have like big racks everywhere, like it's night and day different, and really makes the shop feel like a big space. And then spending time on darkroom for sure. Like we like completely overhauled our darkroom, because our darkroom has always been kind of like an afterthought, even though it shouldn't be. Like our darkroom was always like a really tiny space. Like we would always like, because we'd been in, I don't know, maybe 3 locations prior to this, and it was always like the smallest little corner of the room. We'd build like a tiny little dark room, but now we have like a 15 by 15 foot room that is our dark room, and it's made a huge help with like screen storage and things like that. So
that's one of the things I feel like a lot of people don't think about. Like you said, is it's kind of an afterthought, but it is the most important part of your shop. I feel like, I wish I had a darkroom 2 to 3 times the size that I have now.
It's
just
super
for
nice.
Moving racks around or having a dry space or, some drying just more shit in that room to make it efficient and flow better.
Yeah. And I kind of already mentioned like why we had to move and why we chose an Anatol, but I'm still trying to figure out the stresses of hiring new people. Like I can say like I did, like we have AC in part of our shop. So like a room that was actually my old office when we first moved in, I moved to a different area and I turned that into like the employee lounge. So like there's AC at least to like go escape off into, which is nice. So I'm still trying to figure out like what the perks and the benefits are of working here. Some of the people like, half of the team are really close to me. So like, if it was just them, it wouldn't be so much of like a thought, but now I have like these other people that are new to my family or like new to our print shop. And it's like, how do I better them, and how do I better the experience for them?
You want to make it good for them too.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't want to like force culture, but it's like, but I also want like culture to happen. So I'm like trying to figure out what that looks like.
I fully get
Before
it,
you
yeah.
go to the next one, I want to say just a little tidbit on the cash flow part, and that is, one of the big
yeah.
three you should absolutely have is an accountant, and that accountant is really, really important. I think you need to, I don't know if you can schedule meetings or phone calls and just to talk about your cash flow, because cash flow is just one of the most important things that your business can possibly have. And so when you go to all of a sudden hire new people and then at the same time maybe order equipment and at the same time move shops and have rent and all these expenses are going up, well, I think that you have a pretty good idea before you do that sort of stuff. I always do, and I was always pretty conservative, and then but at the same time, you have to take that leap, because if you never do, then you're just kind of stuck wheels spinning and you're never going to really grow. So I would say to that is that get advice. Cash is king. Don't always think the only way to buy equipment is to pay cash. I think that that's a great way to buy equipment, but also it's sometimes it's really great to have that cash in your pocket if something happens. And so leasing isn't the end of the world. But that's up to your accountant. That's up to you. That's up to your management style and all that kind of stuff. And so cash flow, watch some YouTube videos, talk to your accountant, and maybe win the lottery or something.
I'll say, I did get a new accountant like right before we moved in here, just because the old one wasn't really an accountant. It was just a tax person. So I did get somebody that's actually been able to advise me on some things and smart ways of making purchases and stuff like that. So that's been super helpful. Absolutely.
Also, line of credit before you go. Sorry, line of credit.
Yeah.
Just get a line of credit.
Sure.
Or get a credit card that has good cash back.
Yes. Points and miles.
Last question is the real _J13 asked, what encouraged you to make the decision to print full time? Have you met your short-term goals since you have made the decision?
So, I going full time into printing, that part of my story that we didn't touch on was after I left Best Buy, I went and worked for another print shop for a while. They came into my shop and they had just moved here from Portland, and they said, hey, we like your printing. We need a production manager. Would you want to come help us out? And so for a little over a year, I went and worked at that shop and managed their production team, and then just did my stuff on the side. And they let me use their auto for a while. That's where I got my auto experience from. So I was just running that after hours and just doing my own jobs, which was cool because they were they didn't do any local business. So that's kind of how the relationship worked. They did all shipping, and then I did local. But after that, they got rid of me at one point. They couldn't keep me on anymore. And so I went back to school and finished my degree because it was something that I always wanted to finish. I had dropped out of college with 1 year left, and I ended up going back and finishing. And so it was after I finished college in 2019 that I was like, I'm stuck with this decision, and I've been printing this whole time part-time to help just as a side hustle and give me extra cash and help me make purchases and things like that. And so it kind of came down to this thing where I was just getting burnt out though, and I was in a pretty serious relationship, and it just kind of came to the point where I was like, I had to make the decision. I was like, I'm either going to have to stop printing or I just need to do it full time, which was always the goal. I just had reservations. Yeah, it was just the push. Yeah, I was like, the business was back to like I said, I bought almost everything cash, but before then I did have a flop trying to do in-house embroidery. So I ended up paying off that machine that we ended up never using. And then I was back to this debt-free mentality. And I was like, okay, it's all or nothing. So just making that leap, and it's so gratifying to finally just be doing that full time.
Well, it seems to be working out well for you. Like I said, you seem to have made leaps and bounds
trying
from the by yourself stage. So,
yeah.
No, you seem to be doing well. Do you have any quick questions for us?
Sure. Let me look really quick. Andy, has anybody ever died on the St. Louis Arch?
I want to say somebody died building it. Every once in a while, somebody will either fly through it or hang glide or parachute or something through it. I don't know why, but they do.
It's a giant arch. It's just fucking asking for it.
Right.
You feel like, I think somebody suction cupped up it and then, what do they call that? Freebase? That's drugs.
Base jump.
Base jump.
Base jumping. Yeah.
So they climbed up it, they freebased, and then they base jumped. I
I
felt
free
like I was
before I get in the
gonna.
shower.
I felt like I was gonna die when I went up in it because I don't know if you've ever been, but it's like
You can go
get
up in it?
this-
I've never been. I
Yeah,
didn't
so
know.
you get in this like
How's the elevator work?
claustrophobic.
Yeah, is it like a shuttle?
Yeah, no, it's like sort of like a gondola in a sense because you get in this cart thing, gondola looking thing, and then it goes up and there's no windows. Like as you're going up, it's like it's terrible. Like, but once you're up there, it's really, really cool. Recommend it.
You really saw
But I don't know.
Sweet.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's
Okay.
ever died.
Dylan, do they do like headless horseman stuff where you're at? Like, is that like a thing up there? Because I know like Sleepy
Headless
Hollow,
Horseman
like
stuff?
Sleepy Hollow is like that originated like from New York, like upstate New York, I think.
Oh.
I'm just curious if there's like,
really?
you go to like a town somewhere and they're like headless horseman things everywhere.
Not really. I mean, we have a like fall here is like the thing everyone comes here for the most part.
Sure.
Like fucking apple cider and donuts and the whole fall like pumpkin festivals and all that stuff. I haven't seen much of the like headless horseman stuff. I know like
you're like kind of into
Salem,
like lore
Massachusetts
and
gets
stuff.
a ton
Yeah,
of, a ton of that. Yeah. The Sasquatch stuff for me is more like there's a lot of stuff like that up here. But yeah, I would say like the witch stuff and the spooky stuff like that is more like the Massachusetts stuff.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I'm into all that shit. Like if I could find it, like I said, like I just did a shirt for the Tea Club that was Thompson Park, which was basically just like they call it the Area 51 of New York.
Okay.
And it's just like people are like hiking a trail and they say that like all of a sudden they're on the other side of the park and they like time has passed, like hours have passed and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, oh, I want to go there now. Like I want to just get abducted real quick and see what it's
Just
like.
real quick.
So just real quick. No big deal.
JoJo's parents or mom texted her yesterday and said that they were outside at night in their backyard and they saw a UFO. And
Hell yeah.
then I went to bed and I just realized now that I had a dream that they were abducted. Maybe it's true.
Okay,
I don't
maybe
know.
it was
I
true.
better call them.
I got a few
right.
more
Any
serious
more
if you don't
questions?
mind.
These
Yeah.
are the best questions. No, these are good. Keep
Okay.
going with these.
Do you? I have like two serious ones I want to ask, but what about? Do you have any like nightmare like landlord or like neighboring business stories? Like, like for
I feel
example, like
that's an Andy question.
if, for example, like I had a neighboring tenant for a while that was a distillery, and it like constantly smelled like just old fermented gross stuff, and so there was kind of like some headbutting there, and like right now I have like a neighboring church that sings really loud, but luckily they're only on the weekends, so I don't have to deal with that too much. But it was when we first moved in, we were here on weekends a lot. There's yeah, it was interesting. That's
I'm
all I'm
mad
saying.
at a group of people singing.
No, like it's different, and I won't go into like detail, but they're nice people. But it was just kind of like
Okay.
it was kind of interesting.
Mhm.
But
I don't have any. I've always been kind of in a spot where there's not much of anything next to me. So
and you own the building, right?
I own the building. Yeah, I did have tenants of my own, the antique store, old people, that it kind of got sour towards the end. But that was just a really fucking weird situation. They called me son all the time, and they called themselves mom and dad, which was really fucking creepy.
Okay. Yeah, like when
So
we
yeah,
were.
I really didn't.
I was just gonna say, yeah, when we were like moving in, before we moved into this space, we were looking at another one, and the owner was like, "Okay, yeah, you can move in." And then she lived out of state though, but then she like Googled screen printing, and then and then she called me. She's like, "You guys use like chemicals, right?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. I mean, like we use like the most like eco-friendly stuff that we can use." But then she like backed out because she thought we were like, I don't know, making chemical weapons or
Right.
something.
You look like a guy who would do
Yeah,
chemical weapons.
right.
Right. No. I don't know. Andy, do you have anything?
I've always had a pretty good relationship with the landlord. So there aren't really many stories there. The only thing I can think of is that when COVID happened, every year we get like a reconciliation of our rent. They adjust for,
Your
insurance
fees.
going up and things like that. Yeah. And so I remember when COVID happened, I got that letter
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "You've got to be kidding me. Like, we're already lucky to be open. And
Mhm.
now you're going to send me this letter that rent is going to be more." So I told him
Yep.
that I was going to put him on the news if he
That
did
happened to
that.
me.
Like if he, I was like, there's just no way I'm paying this rent if you increase my rent. In fact, it should be the other way. I should be getting a letter saying that, wow, you've made it this far. Congratulations. I'm not gonna raise the rent or anything,
Right.
or maybe I'll even discount it.
I am the worst, best landlord. Like, I do anything and everything for my tenants, and I'm terrified to raise the rent at all times. Like, I
Yeah.
feel bad. I'm like, hey, like, they're so nice and we're friends, and it's just so, like, I don't know when is a good time to walk over and be like, hey, like, I know I said this was the rent like years ago, but I would like more now.
Right. Can you like maybe give me a little bit more money?
Can you maybe give me like 200 more bucks a month and, pay for this and like
Yeah.
stop leaving your air conditioning on full blast all year long?
Right.
I poured my heart out into a letter and told him things about ethics and everything like that. He didn't raise the rent that year.
Okay.
I think he
Yeah.
probably just tacked on more now.
Yeah, I used to be in a multi-tenant
overtime.
like building, and I was one of the first people there. And our lease was like we didn't have to pay triple nets, right? But then, yeah, at one point, like halfway through the year, like after a bunch of other people had moved into this building, the landlord reached out and was like, "Okay, like here's like your reconciliation. You owe us like I don't remember what it was, but it was like a few $1,000s." That I was like, "Whoa, like." What is this for? We've been here for a few years and we've never had to do this before. And he's like, well, everybody else has to do this now. And I was like, well, that doesn't matter. Like they're all on a triple net lease. It's not my problem that the previous person put us in here and we didn't do a triple net lease. So I'm not paying that bill. And luckily I didn't have to.
I think I just need Andy to be my landlord.
I'll manage your
I
property
think that's
for
what I
you.
need.
Oh, you mean
All right.
not your landlord? You mean your do your dirty work?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just gonna like threaten to put him on the news and shit.
I thought you wanted me to buy your building and then lease it to you.
He'll write them a letter about ethics and why they
I
should
do
pay
not
more
want
rent.
you to be my landlord. Yeah, exactly.
Got anything else, Rodney? Is that the last question?
Two-ish more questions, maybe. One, I just have a quick question
Okay.
about because it's really pertinent to like how we're operating now, and that's what do you guys do for like reorders? Say it's within like 1, 2, 3, maybe a month, right? But they don't
I wish
want.
you just left it at that. What do you guys do for reorders?
What do you guys do for those? No, just like because it's with the auto and everything like that, it's become a little bit more of a nightmare recently where somebody places an order and their first order is for the minimum, but then they come back like 2 weeks later and they're like, hey, we need like 6 more shirts. And it's like, I'm torn because I'm super thankful that they gave me the business in the first place. And it's hard to be like, okay, like you just got to pay the minimum again. So I'm wondering if you guys do anything different at all for people that need to reorder something.
I feel like we just try to be super honest with them, and it's just like, dude, like you got to realize like what we have to do to make this happen. Like,
Right.
I feel like we try to say like these are the rules. Like the rule is that if you're going to place this order, you got to do the minimum order because that's what we need to make everything function correctly in the shop. Like,
Sure.
It's not like we just made up a number and we're like, oh, let's say our minimum's 18, and then they're like, well, I only need 6. And you're like, all right, shucks, let's just do 6. It's
Right.
like, no, like in order for it to even work for us or make it worth doing, like we have to like burn these screens and like print these screens and like, you know, wash them out and dry them and tape them and register them on press and mix inks and all this other stuff. It's like, there's a lot that goes into it. So usually it's like, I really want to help you out, but like realistically you need to hit this minimum.
Sure. What about you, Andy?
I don't know. I think
This is a tough one, isn't it? Because it's usually pretty irritating to the customer because they don't understand really. Even when you try
Exactly.
to explain it, they don't get
Yeah.
it. And so generally what we do is sort of what Dylan said. We try and push, we explain at first why it's so difficult. We say no and explain why it's so difficult. And then judging on how upset they are, then we will.
that's our entire industry, by the
Right.
way.
Yeah.
Judging on how pissed off the person we're
Yeah.
talking to
Are you going to give me a bad
is how
review?
flexible our rules are.
Yeah, because
Right.
then we'll say, okay, well, here's what we can do. And what the program that we have set up is a reset program. And so, yeah, you can have the shirts for the same price as before. And then we're going to charge you $20 a screen to reset it back up. However, there are a few exceptions to that because if they're a great customer, what I would consider an elite or even on a pro
Oh,
level.
yeah.
that
White
are,
glove
like-
customers will do it for sure.
Yeah, you just do it. Like, oh,
Okay.
so you need 6 more shirts, done.
Yeah.
But if it's just for the once a year customer or one time customer or whatever, then yeah, you explain it. You do your best to explain why you can't do it. You're going to need to order the minimum, or okay, fine, you just want 6 shirts. Well, then it's $20 a screen to reset this back up. And
Usually, if it's a customer that comes in and wants a one color,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, whatever, just throw it up and fucking print it. But if it's like a couple color print or like multiple size and locations and stuff, I'm just like, yeah, you gotta do the minimum.
you mean you'll throw it up? You're saying if you still have the screen, what if you don't still have the screen? You'll make a new screen for 6 shirts.
I'm just saying if the customer's in a pinch and they need 6 shirts, I'm way more lenient if it's a one color. Like,
Oh, okay,
Sure.
sure, yeah.
throw it on CTS, fucking whatever. Just put it in rotation, get it out. No big deal.
Cool.
I can't remember who said it, but I've stuck with it forever now. It's like we're a customer service company first and a print shop second.
I think I said that.
So, no, you didn't.
Andy.
You got one more question and then we'll do shop acts?
Sure. Do you guys have any like moments that you were grateful for, like in like anybody that like really like threw you a bone or anything like that, or like clients or anything that kind of like changed your shop, if that makes sense, like change your
Every day.
business, like every day?
It's such a fucking cop out, Andy. Come on, give us a real one.
I'm just curious.
I'm grateful to wake up in the morning and see
You
the
just
sun.
did the like Miss America, like, and God bless America. Like, it's like you fucking check the box on that bullshit. Give me a real one.
So grateful for, you're saying for
Like
an
a-
order we got, let's say, or
Maybe like
Anything.
like it could be like a business like did something like above and beyond for you, or a vendor did something, or a big client that, you know, like your first like giant job that like something like that.
I feel like I have a bunch of those.
really you're grateful to customers, like
Yeah,
specifically
I have
to
a bunch of them.
like, okay, so what are a couple?
I don't know, like just massive customers. Like one was, I told that story before about me and Chris going when we were still in the garage to meet with the fucking New York Mets, and like the dude who was in charge of that saw through us and knew what we were and knew what size shop we were, was gonna give us the business anyway because he fucking loved us. And then when they couldn't give us the business because they were like going bankrupt that year, the Mets it also owned like a ton of other companies, and like all those companies are obviously smaller than the Mets as far as like what they order. And like he threw us all those orders just because he was like, I fucking love you guys and like want to like give you stuff. And like that opened the door for us to like a ton of like really good big clients. Like that's one, but like there's other things too. Like I never thought or necessarily wanted to be in the trade world as far as like, you know, carpentry and electrical and like all this other stuff, but like we do a ton of that stuff. And it's all because I became buddies with some of the guys that are like the new wave This Old House, and like they just fucking sang our name to everybody. Sure. They were like, oh, these guys rule, like go here. And like now we do a fuckload of it, and it's like they didn't have to do that at all. They were just like good dudes that we did good shit for, and they were just like pushed it out there hard. Or just like Jane and Jerry, who like basically let us have our first, like the garage shop that we started in was rent free. They were just like, yeah, use our place, it's available for you. And like she fucking baked pies and shit for us, and
That's awesome.
like I wouldn't be where I am today if like I didn't have that space to start in.
Sure.
So there's a lot of shit like that cool. for me that's just like, and it happens every day. I love every customer that we have, and they're all amazing to us.
Exactly.
Some standouts, I don't know. I think that I just maybe have some general gratefulness that I'm able to just have, I guess, my health to come here every day and, you know, put all of that energy, because I used to, it's not like that anymore, but for to get started here, I just left it all here every single day. Like I would barely get home, you know,
sure,
and have enough to get myself a little something to eat and go to bed, because, you know, and that's what it took for us and for me. And there was a tremendous amount of sacrifices to get there. You know, I worked 80-hour weeks and everything like that. And so I'm just grateful to be able to do that, because if I didn't, then I wouldn't have everything. I wouldn't have that life that I have now. And so I think in doing that, there was a lot of customers that came along and that we did a good job for, whether it was just a small order or a large order, that told, you know, their friends or their colleagues or associates or whatever, that just spread the word that we did a good job. Every single one of those, because that's how we grew so fast and early on, is just that kind of what Dylan said, is that we were a customer service company that happened to print shirts. And so we took care of people, and I'm grateful for the community. And that's why I love giving back to it, is that they really accepted us and went to bat for us all the time. Like people would just call. They say, hey, I need to talk to Andy. And so I would answer the phone. They say, I heard you, you know, print good shirts. And then all of a sudden there was an order. You know, like it's crazy to think that when we first started, I would have given for a 100-piece order, and that now they just show up. You know, like you just get an email or a phone call, and they're like, hey, we need 100 shirts. And you're like, it's crazy to think that it just comes to your doorstep now instead of having to go get it.
Yeah, that's
so
wild.
I'm grateful for all that.
That's cool. Woo. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Do you have any shop hacks?
Yeah, I do. So one, I'm not too sure.
You're so fucking prepared.
You're welcome. One, I'm not too sure if anybody has said this, and I was trying to think about it. I was walking through the shop the other day, and I don't know if it's been brought up before. If it has, I don't remember it. But I was thinking about something that I didn't learn until recently, like 2-ish years ago, that kind of like was like an aha moment. So I'm going to say it just because if there's anybody else listening that doesn't know this.
I hope you say baby wipes.
Baby wipes? Yes. Magic erasers. No, so quick scenario is you have printed a bunch of hoodies and your pallets are covered in lint, and you need to set up another hoodie job, but your center line, you can't see it anymore, or it's really hard to see because all that lint buildup, and you're not going to like change the pallet tape. I used to just like Sharpie on top of that, like the best that I could. And then like I was like in a shop at one point, or not, I wasn't in a shop. I was working at this old shop, and the printer there in that scenario, I was like trying to like reg the screen and trying to get my center marks in, and I couldn't see very well. And he was like, why don't you like put a piece of tape down? And so that was like my aha moment, that for whatever reason, I never thought of that. And that's like, if you guys know, you just like take like your white screen tape or like white masking tape and like put one edge all the way down your board as your center line. And then you can just like throw your one color print, hit your center dots, and lock it in and be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just one thing that
that works.
Yeah, no, it was just something that I for whatever reason never thought of. Like I would literally like, okay, I can't see my center line anymore, and I would like peel the tape off or peel the palette paper up, and I'm just gonna put like new hoodies on it anyway, so it was a waste of time. But my other hack, something that I came up with because like with supply chain issues, right? So my background in college is I have a computer science minor, and so I was like getting really frustrated with shortages, and now that like the supply chain seems to be like somewhat better, but I'm still having to hop around. I don't know about you guys, but I'm still having to hop around to multiple vendors because of like one size is out, you know? Yeah. So like I'm noticing like, oh, I need like these neutral Bellas or whatever, and they have like a bunch in stock, but they're out of XLs. But so then I have to like hop to like the next site or the next site or the next site. So what I did is I wrote this little program, and I'm thinking about like putting it on my site to like share with people, but there might be a little bit of maintenance for it for like other people to use. But I wrote this program, and it's pretty cool. Like what it is, you just go to a URL, and there's just a key box, and you can type in a model number, say like a 6210. And what happens when you click enter is it opens up that product in all of my vendors. So what it'll do is I have one tab in like Chrome. I type in like, you know, the model number 3600, and then it automatically opens up Sanmar, SNS, Alpha, opens up all of those tabs for me, and then it goes to like that page. Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Chad cut this part out. If you just want to send that to me and Andy,
just you guys. Okay, sure. Yeah, right, I don't know. Like
right. All right. So Rodney, you have no shop hacks. You were not prepared.
Nope. No shop hacks, guys. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Let's go on to the next thing.
Yeah, I was unprepared.
That's a really, really good one because you're right. I mean, there's a lot of time spent trying to find a shirt, and if you're telling me that you just enter it in and it crawls or somehow you know goes to 5 or 6 or whatever vendors you have it set up to go to. I'm trying to do it for...
Does it just open like whatever it is, like 3 or 4 new tabs with those on it? Yeah,
so if you... And I'm working on it right now to where I can like have the vendor sites like listed below where you enter in the model number, to like put like some checkboxes there, so that like for example like searching for a 4500 by independent, well they're not carried at all the vendors, right? So it's like it just opens up those tabs and goes to nothing. But for most of our stuff that we're looking for, what it'll do is you type in the model number.
You're gonna need to like hit this immediately because everyone's going to be asking you for it, and if it's not fucking up to their standards, you're going to be screwed. So
I mean if people are interested, feel free to send me a DM and I'll see if I can help you out. It's not hard to use. I just don't know, you know, and everybody's like computer systems and their browsers that are using a little bit different, but I'll send you guys a video if you want. I'll DM me a video of me using it.
I definitely want to check it out.
So it's pretty cool. Sure. It's been helpful. So just to be able to like, type in 3001, it pulls that up in all of your sites. It's pretty helpful to just be able to bounce around and look at that item quickly.
Good job, dude. For real.
Thank you.
You ready for some quick takes?
Yeah,
I'm
let's
so ready.
do it.
Okay.
What is one thing that helps you get through the day?
Ooh. I mean, like the cop-out answer is coffee, because I do need that every day, which is weird because I'm already pretty energetic, but for whatever reason I need that to like focus. But truly, that would be my dogs. Like those animals bring so much joy and happiness and stress relief into my life. So yeah, just my dogs.
Nice. Test the waters or dive in the deep end.
Ooh, dive in the deep end. I feel like I tested the waters for a long time, so I'm trying to just go all in right now.
Right, you're fucking YOLO now. I get it.
YOLO. I mean, why not?
You said this earlier, but we didn't give you the other option. But 2 presses or 10 presses?
2. Yeah, 2. 10 just sounds like
2.
I've only been in a shop with 2. I'd love to check out one that has more, but yeah, that's just a whole other level of production that I don't think I want to be involved in.
You only have to hire another 35 people.
Yeah, no big deal.
No big deal. I'm going to trade out my question for 2 questions because my favorite one is not in here. First question, right or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay. Do you wish you were left-handed?
Why?
No.
Just-
My mom's
just
left-handed,
just asking.
but no, I'm right-handed. And no, I
Like, who cares?
I don't care.
Okay. Dick.
Yeah, like, God, I think about that every day. I wish I was just left-handed. I mean, that would be the best. So is it my turn to
hold on.
ask?
No, it's
Trying to
not.
think,
I got a
like-
two-parter. I
Yeah, okay.
prefaced with a two-parter. Do you have any shows or movies you're watching right now? Or anything you saw recently that's awesome?
I'm big into TV and movies, so
Hell yes.
yeah,
Let's do this.
I just finished catching up on the Righteous Gemstones. I don't know if you've watched that. It's pretty
Way
hilarious.
Yeah.
too long of a name. Way too long of a title.
Nope, it's awesome.
Shorten it.
Check it out.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yes.
Also watching 2 shows that are similar right now. The Wilds and Yellow Jackets. So I'm watching both of
I
those.
haven't seen those.
They're like people get like plane crashes and they're like trapped on an island and they have to survive type of thing, or crash in the mountains. But they're both pretty
So
good.
Lost. Yeah, I have a really bad
Yeah,
taste in my mouth about Lost.
yeah.
So
I don't know. They're all right. They're pretty good so far.
it's probably why my brain blocked them out completely when I saw them
Yeah,
on TV.
but then
Hey, did I mention? In case I didn't, I have to mention Prey. I might have mentioned that last week. I don't know
Yeah,
if I
you
did.
I haven't watched that yet.
Okay, well,
Was
for
it good?
sure, it was so good. Yeah, Prey.
Okay, cool.
It's the new Predator that
It's
took
good if you
place-
like Predator movies.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
I love Predator, and I mean it's just one of those things. Like the marketing buzz on it is like best Predator movie ever,
Right,
and
yeah.
it's like no, dude,
I didn't.
it's not
I
the
didn't
best
say
fucking
that.
Predator movie.
I
ever.
just said it's really,
I'm not
really
saying
good.
you said that. It is really good.
marketing
I'm not
suggests it.
knocking what Andy's saying. I'm just saying the marketing's like better than any other. It's like, dude, it's not. Like
If you
it's a
don't like
different
it,
Predator movie.
then
It's a good
fuck
Predator
off.
movie, but it's not. Nothing beats the first.
Yeah,
one,
and then
so.
I'm stoked for House of Dragon when that comes out. I'm stoked to start watching that.
Yeah,
So
and Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, yeah. You just went and saw Beast real quick. How was that? I'm curious.
It was good, but not as good as I thought it was going to be. It's
Okay.
not Ghost in the
Dang.
Darkness.
All right. I was kind of hoping. I was like, it looks kind of cheesy, but I was like, it could be good. So I don't know.
It's good. It's worth watching. It's just one of those movies where, you know how, like, obviously the way you tell a story is, like, you have to sprinkle in some things so they can call back to it at the end and be
Sure.
like, oh, that's why they did it this way. They just so blatantly pushed out, like, this one thing.
Okay.
And the whole, you know the ending of the movie immediately. You're like,
Okay.
oh,
Sure.
like that's what they're gonna do, and it's just like, I don't know. For me, there was just like, it was cool, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
It
know. I
kinda
would have
ruined it
kind of
for me.
low expectations for it, but I just like kind of those creature feature movies. So
Oh yeah, creature movies. Well, that was one thing. Like I said with the Sasquatch stuff for me is it's like this whole movie obviously was CGI. Like all
Sure.
the lions were CGI. It's like if they kept the same title, same setting, same everything, but replaced the CGI tiger or lion with a Sasquatch, it would have been fucking awesome.
been awesome. Sick. Cool.
All right.
It's my turn, and I am going to ask what your favorite snack is, and have you two-part question? What's your favorite snack, and have you heard of that Snoop Dogg has a new cereal coming out?
I love cereal, but no, I have not heard that Snoop Dogg is.
Do you know? Do you, Dylan? Don't say. Dylan, don't say.
Snoopalos or something.
Are they? Are they
close.
just?
You're close.
Are they just
Dylan,
mini
don't say.
blunts that you put in milk?
Like
No,
Snoop,
you ready?
Snoop
What the
Loops?
name is? You ready? You got it.
All
Holy
right,
shit! Yes.
Snoop Loops.
Snoop Loops.
So stupid.
So good.
No.
So good.
Yeah,
It's just like
that's
it's
hilarious.
just fucking like resin and bong water. That's all it is.
With some marshmallows.
Final
Uh,
question.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, I
favorite
was gonna
snack.
say like my favorite snack. I don't know. Like I don't know.
Whatever's left on your mustache later in the day?
Yeah, I just like store things there all day. I don't know. I just like
It's a fucking flavor saver.
chips and salsa, man. Chips and salsa all day. That's like my favorite.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, that's my go-to.
I feel that.
Can't go wrong at all.
And
Cool.
then,
What's
so
next?
what do you have for dinner tonight?
Dinner tonight. So I probably am gonna go get like a massive burrito somewhere. So yeah, there's like a new taco truck in town that like is doing really good work. So it's probably where I'm gonna go. So big burrito fan.
I wish we had more food trucks.
It's like
wanna start
it's
a
a
food
huge thing in Salem for sure. Yeah, we have like multiple food truck pods now. It's not like a big city, but it's definitely the trend right now. What about you guys?
There's a Netflix documentary out right now called Street Food that they were saying that Portland has like a massive amount of food trucks.
It's gnarly. Like it's hard to decide. There's so many. It's pretty wild.
It's awesome.
Dylan, can you do me a favor and say that word one more time? What was it? A what?
Documentary?
The documentary.
Yeah. The documentary. Okay. Yeah.
Hey,
Fuck you.
All right. I'm sorry.
I watched
take it
a
back.
documentary
Ronnie,
last
thanks for
night,
chatting
but
with
yeah, no
us
problem.
today. Oh, what did you see?
I was,
did
it's
you
called
see?
the Alpinite. The Alpinist. The
Alpinist.
The Alpinist?
Alpinist. Did you guys see that
Yeah.
one yet? That was pretty good.
Yeah, I started
It was
yes.
stressful, but it was good. What do
I
you guys
also
having for
started
dinner?
14 Peaks.
Oh,
I haven't seen that one yet.
Chicken pot pie.
Okay.
sounds good.
About you, Andy?
Homemade or a frozen deal?
Oh yeah.
Frozen.
Mm.
Me, I am solo tonight.
Oh.
The Bachelor. So I'm
Ayo.
going to have. I think I have a frozen
Depression.
I'm gonna have a. I'm gonna
A
have
frozen
a
depression.
pot of depression. Ronnie, thank you for chatting
Running
with
water?
us. And
What are you having for dinner?
Yeah.
fuck, I don't know. I thought I was gonna have this. I got this thing at Trader Joe's. It's a frozen like what do you call it? Like potatoes, loaded potato thing.
Okay. Cool.
There, that's the best way I can describe it.
Like a
Something
twice baked
that.
potato?
No, it's not a potato like one potato. It's
like
many chunks of potatoes.
like a skillet.
They're called French fries. He means French fries.
Oh yeah, is that what they are? I don't know.
They're these potato things. They're like cut up in like kind of like these little chunks, and you bake them.
I never
Good.
heard of it. Well, sounds good though.
They're French.
Can't wait.
Cool. Well, dude, thanks,
All right,
thanks
Rodney.
guys.
Thanks for coming on this, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Truly,
Yeah,
and
it was good having you. It was
yeah,
fun.
you guys doing this for the community is really cool, and bringing people together is awesome. So I appreciate it, and thank
Thanks,
you.
man. Yeah,
Cool.
we appreciate you. We'll see you later.
We will see
Yeah.
you in Long Beach. It sounds like.
No, we'll see him
Print
at
Hustlers.
Print
Oh
Hustlers.
yeah.
Hell yeah, cool.
That's right.
Look forward to it, guys.
Fort Worth.
Yep. Sick.
Thanks, dude. We'll see you later.
Later, guys.